السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأت بخير منها أو مثلها ألم تعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير ألم تعلم أن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير أم تريدون أن تسألوا رسولكم كما سئل موسى من قبل ومن يتبدل الكفر بالإيمان فقد ضل سواء السبيل ود كثير من أهل الكتاب لو يردونكم من بعد إيمانكم كفارا حسدا من عند أنفسهم من بعد ما تبين لهم الحق فاعفوا واصفحوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره إن الله على كل شيء قدير وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله إن الله بما تعملون بصير صدق الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Last week we spoke about one of the sins that the Yahud and the Bani Israel they used to indulge in, and that was the sihr and the black magic. And this is why Allah Ta'ala sent down Harut and Marut to the city of Babylon to educate the people, to teach them the difference between haqq and batil, and taught them the art of magic so that the people can now differentiate between what is magic and what is mu'jiza from Allah Ta'ala. And how when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned to the Yahud that Sulaiman alayhi salam is from amongst the messengers, the Yahud they answered and they said that no, he is not a messenger, he's a magician. To which Allah Ta'ala revealed the ayah, وَمَا كَفَرَ Sulaiman, that Sulaiman alayhi salam, he was not a kafir, he did not indulge in the sihr, but it was the shayateen who indulged in the kufr and the black magic. Then we spoke about how the Yahud they used to taunt and make fun of and curse Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where they used to call him something known as ra'ina, which in Arabic means be mindful of us, but in Hebrew it is a curse. And they had the intention of the Hebrew meaning, and they would say ra'ina to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the intention of cursing him. And now we are going to speak about a very important topic, which is the mas'ala and the ruling of nasakh and abrogation in Islam. What does nasakh mean? Nasakh means where an ayah has been abrogated or cancelled or nullified, or the ayah has been changed or has been completely left out. So Allah Ta'ala says in ayah number 106 of Surat Al-Baqra, ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها. That whenever in ayah a verse was abrogated and cancelled, or it was caused and it was made to be forgotten, yani to be taken out completely, Allah Ta'ala says we brought a verse better than it or similar to it. أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٍ. Do you not know that Allah Ta'ala is all powerful over everything? Now the reason why this ayah was revealed was because the Yahud they gathered one day and they said, look at the affairs and look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One day he commands his Sahaba to do something, the next day he tells them do not do something. And he commands them to do the opposite. And they said that one day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says do this, but the next day he says do not do this. So they said that the Quran, na'udhu billah, is nothing except the words and made up by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he made up the Quran himself. So this is why Allah Ta'ala revealed the verse that whenever Allah Ta'ala abrogates an ayah, Allah Ta'ala brings an ayah similar to it or better than the ayah which was abrogated. Now it's very important we understand this very important topic of nasakh, abrogation and nullification of certain ayat or changing of certain ayat. This abrogation gave a chance to the Yahud and the Bani Israel to taunt the Muslims and to say that the Quran is from the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An example of abrogation for us to understand is, for example, in the beginning the Muslims, they were commanded to face Baytul Maqdis and pray towards Baytul Maqdis as their Qibla. And the Muslims, they prayed towards Baytul Maqdis for around 17 months. And then afterwards Allah Ta'ala revealed the ayah and changed the direction from Baytul Maqdis to the Kaaba. So this is a example of abrogation where the law and the commandment that was sent down by Allah Ta'ala to the Muslims was to face Baytul Maqdis. Then Allah Ta'ala changed it from Baytul Maqdis to the Kaaba. And many other examples of abrogation happen as well. So this gave a chance to the Jews to taunt the Muslims and say that this is from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This Quran is from Muhammad. Why? Because number one, if this Quran was from Allah Ta'ala, then laws would not be changed. It would be the same. Number two, if laws are changed, this means that the law that was changed was an evil law and was a wrong law. That when first the law and the commandment came from Allah Ta'ala, if Allah Ta'ala changed it into something else, then this means that the previous law, this was something wrong and evil. This is the claim that the Jews made. So they said this is why we believe that the Quran is from Muhammad and not from Allah Ta'ala. So number one, we have to understand that laws changing does not mean that the previous or the first law was something bad or something evil. Now the question comes about that if every single law was good, why did Allah Ta'ala change certain ayat? Why did Allah Ta'ala change certain rulings and certain commandments? Number one, we have to understand that Allah Ta'ala is powerful over everything and He can do what He wants. Number one, we have to understand that Allah Ta'ala can do whatever He wants. And number two, the reason why Allah Ta'ala would change certain ayat and certain laws is because sometimes Allah Ta'ala, He would send down a law which was suitable for that time and for that area. And Allah Ta'ala knew that later on the circumstances will change and then the law will change as well. So it doesn't mean that the previous law that was sent down, which was abrogated and cancelled, it was something bad. That was the law that was suitable to the circumstances at the time. Then when another law came, because the circumstances changed, that previous law would not work. So Allah Ta'ala would have to change the law. This is the reason why Allah Ta'ala would sometimes change and abrogate certain laws and commandments that He sent down. Another thing we have to understand, that when it comes to government and man-made laws, right, how we have laws and commandments in our government nowadays, this can be of two types. Number one, when the government passes down a law, which is of course man-made, the laws that the government passed down is not from Allah Ta'ala, it's man-made laws. So sometimes abrogation and cancellation of laws can happen in two ways with regards to the government. Number one, sometimes the government, they pass down a law which was man-made and they realize that they made a mistake and they pass down a wrong law. And as a result of this, they are forced to change their law. So they did abrogation. This is one type. A second type of abrogation that happens with man-made laws and the laws of the government is sometimes the government, they pass down a certain law and ruling which is suitable for the time. And they do not know for how long this law will be applicable, and they do not know what's going to happen in the future. Perhaps we might keep this law, perhaps we might change it. And then what happens after they pass down the law, which was suitable for the time, something happens where now they are forced to change the law, and they did not know that this would happen. So we see these two types of abrogation happening in man-made law. But the third type of abrogation which happens only applies to Allah Ta'ala and the Quran. And what is this? that Allah Ta'ala sends down laws based on the circumstances that is suitable for the time. And Allah Ta'ala knows in His mind that once and when the circumstances change, and He knows when it will change, then Allah Ta'ala knows that at that time I am going to pass this law. So even from before, Allah Ta'ala knew that the circumstances would change, and then Allah Ta'ala would change the law according to what is suitable for the time. But when the government does it, they do not know what's going to happen in the future. They do not have that plan already. But Allah Ta'ala knows that He sends down a law, this is suitable for the time, and maybe a year later or when a certain incident happens, Allah Ta'ala knows that since the circumstances are going to change, my law will change too, because this will be beneficial for the people. And this only applies to Allah Ta'ala in the Quran, where Allah Ta'ala, He gives a ruling which is suitable, a law, a commandment suitable for the time. And later on Allah Ta'ala knows that this law is going to change into another law. And Allah Ta'ala knows this from before. So the Jews, what they would do is they would attribute the first two to the Quran. The first two, which was the abrogation of the man-made law. They said that the Quran was such that it passed down a law, but they made a mistake because the Quran, na'udhu billah, is from Muhammad. He made a mistake and then he changed it. Like how we said, happens to the government sometimes. Number two, which was that the Quran passed down a ruling, and then later on, without knowing, all of a sudden the circumstances changed. Now Muhammad or the Quran was forced to change the ruling. This is what the Jews, they said. But it was actually the third type of ruling which was applicable for the Quran in terms of nas and abrogation. And an example to understand this nowadays, how we can understand this third type that the Quran uses, is the example of a pharmacist or a physician. What happens is a patient comes to a pharmacy or a pharmacist or a physician with certain symptoms and a certain condition. He is sick in a certain way. So what the pharmacist does, he prescribes some medicine for him. And this pharmacist knows that once he takes this medicine for 2 days or 5 days or 7 days, 1 week, his condition is going to change as a result of the medicine. And then when he comes back to me 7 days later with a changed condition, I am going to give him another medicine which will be suitable because his circumstance changed, his condition changed. The first time he came to me, he had certain symptoms, which is why I gave him this medicine. 7 days later, when he comes back after taking the medicine, I am going to give him another medicine which will be suitable for him. So the pharmacist and the physician, he knew this is going to happen because he has experience. So similarly, the question may be asked, so why doesn't the pharmacist from the beginning give him all the medicine and give him a layout that for 7 days take this, then your condition will change, then take this? The reason why the pharmacist doesn't do this is because this will be putting too much burden on the already feeble and sick patient. That if the pharmacist were to give him a whole outline of 1 month's medicine and doses to take, this will be a burden for the already feeble and sick patient. Or number two, he may get confused. Instead of this pill, he takes this pill, which he's supposed to take 1 week later. So similarly, Allah Ta'ala, He gives the ruling now, but He does not mention the next ruling because this will cause burden to the insan. Or this will cause the insan to become and make a mistake that this law is said to be for later on. So if Allah Ta'ala were to pass it down and to tell the people that this law will be used for 4 months, then this law will be used, then that law will be used, this will cause a lot of confusion to the people. So this is why Allah Ta'ala, for a certain time, according to the circumstance, sent down a law. And Allah Ta'ala knows what's going to happen in the future, and when that happens, by the will of Allah Ta'ala, now that previous law is not suitable for them anymore, and then Allah Ta'ala is going to send down the new law. This is how the abrogation and how the nullifying of the ayat and the laws and the commandments of Allah Ta'ala occur. It is because of this third type, and it is very important to understand this. Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah, one scholar of the past, he said that it is very, very important for the people to understand the law and the masla regarding nasakh, because many people, they may bring forth doubts, like how the Yahud, they used to. So it is very important to understand this. And what will happen? A lot of benefit will come out from understanding this. And only the ignorant and the foolish people will have doubts when it comes to the mas'ala and the chapter of nasakh and abrogation. So this in a nutshell was the important hukum of abrogation, which we should all try our best to understand. Then Allah Ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Do you not know that for Allah Ta'ala belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth? وَمَا لَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِن وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. And you will have no protector and no helper besides Allah Ta'ala. Again, this is the Yahud, that Allah Ta'ala can do whatever He wants, number one. That you have doubts toward the nas. We said number one, Allah Ta'ala can change and add and remove whatever He wants. We cannot even ask. But we also have the logic to prove it as well. Because Allah Ta'ala owns the kingdom of the heaven and the earth. Allah Ta'ala can do whatever He wills. Now Allah Ta'ala says in ayah number 108, أَمْ تُرِيدُونَ أَن تَسْأَلُوا رَسُولَكُمْ كَمَا سُئِلَ مُوسَى مِن قَبْلِ. Do you wish to ask your messenger, يعني Rasulullah, like what the people they asked Musa alayhi salam before? Now this question can either be towards the Jews or either towards the Muslim. What is the question again? Allah Ta'ala says, do you wish to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam the same questions that which was asked to Musa alayhi salam before by his people? In other words, the people of Musa alayhi salam and the Yahud at the time, they would ask rigorous and they would ask crazy and insolent commands from Musa alayhi salam. For example, أَرِنَا اللَّهَ جَهْرًا. We want to see Allah Ta'ala face to face in front of us. All these different types of requests they had from Musa alayhi salam. So Allah Ta'ala is reminding the Bani Israel that do not be like your forefathers who asked crazy commandments to their Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Do not do this to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Or this ayah can be a question towards the Muslims. How? That Allah Ta'ala is asking the believers, do you wish to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam such demands and requests like how the Bani Israel asked Musa alayhi salam before? In other words, this is a warning for the Muslims that do not ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam such requests and demands like how the Yahud and the Bani Israel they used to ask Musa alayhi salam before. وَمَنْ يَتَبَدَّلِ الْكُفْرَ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءَ السَّبِيلِ. And the one who changes and replaces iman with kufr, indeed he has lost the way. In other words, if you ask these demands and requests to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then this is an act of kufr. And we know the Yahud, they would ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that bring down the entire Quran at once. So they too would ask these crazy requests and commands to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, like how their forefathers used to ask Musa alayhi salam at that time. Now Allah Ta'ala says, وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يَرُدُّونَكُم مِّن بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا. That many people from the people of the book, they wish to turn you into kuffar after you have become a Muslim. Why? حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Because of jealousy and envy that stems out from their hearts after the truth has been clear to them. In other words, Allah Ta'ala is warning the believers that be careful of the Jews. The Jews, they act like they are well-wishers for the believers. The Jews, they claim to be well-wishers for the believers and that they want good for them and they want khair for them. But Allah Ta'ala is reminding the believers and warning them that be careful of the plots and the trickery of the Yahud and the people of the book, not only the Yahud but the Nasara as well, that they will seem to you that they love you and they want good for you, but in reality they want to turn you into kuffar. And this is the plot of the disbelievers even nowadays. They come up with certain things and laws and all these different things they come up with, all to remove you and to get you away from your iman and to make you an infidel and a kafir, all out of jealousy. As Allah Ta'ala says, حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Then Allah Ta'ala says, فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. That forgive and forgo until the commandment of Allah Ta'ala comes. In other words, if someone outwardly seems like he cares for you, and you know his reality that he does not care for you, this will cause you to be angry and to take retribution and to take revenge. But Allah Ta'ala is telling the believers that be patient, for now forgive them, right? The Jews and the Christians, they're doing a lot of evil to you. They are taunting Islam, they are taunting the believers, they are saying a lot of bad things. Fa'fu wasfahu, forgive them until the commandment of Allah Ta'ala comes. And we all know the commandment of Allah Ta'ala was the jihad. At the time it was suitable for the believers not to retaliate and not to take revenge and to fight back because of the situation and the circumstances at the time, the weakness of the believers and the strength of the disbelievers. Allah Ta'ala's hikmah said, forgive them for now. Do not do anything until the commandment of Allah Ta'ala will come. And of course Allah Ta'ala fulfilled His promise, and the commandments came later on to go fight the Ahlul Kitab and to fight the disbelievers. And of course, through the will of Allah Ta'ala, the believers, they were successful. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala is powerful over everything. Then Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, that establish salah and give zakah. وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, that whatever you sent ahead, you will find it with Allah Ta'ala. وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ, whatever good you sent ahead, you will find it with Allah Ta'ala. In other words, whatever salah you pray, whatever sadaqah and zakat you give, that you send forward for yourself to be rewarded on the day of Qiyamah, you will find it with Allah Ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala will forgive you and reward you as well. So Allah Ta'ala is telling the believers, continue your salah, continue your zakah, and one day the jihad will be added. Not right now, for now forgive the believers, forgive the disbelievers, forgive the Jews for their hostility towards you, and then just continue your salah and your zakah, and then jihad will be added toward your commandments as well, and you will be rewarded for every salah and for every zakah you do. And this is why Allah Ta'ala says, تَجِدُوهُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, you will find it with Allah Ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ, indeed Allah Ta'ala, He is watchful over everything you do. Continuing on, ayah number 111, after speaking about the Jews, how they used to taunt Islam and the Muslims when it came to the mas'ala of nasakh, and how Allah Ta'ala warned the believers to be careful of the plots and the trickery of the Ahlul Kitab, that all they want is to make you kuffar and to take you away from Islam. Now Allah Ta'ala is going to speak about a claim that the Yahud and the Christians, they both made. The Yahud and the Christians, they both claimed that the rights of the hereafter and Jannah is reserved for them. The Christians said that Jannah is only for the Christians. The Jews said that Jannah and the bliss and the na'im and the joy of Jannah is only for the Jews. So Allah Ta'ala says in this ayah and makes it clear to them that the Jannah is neither for the Christians nor is it for the Jews, but rather it is the one who submits himself in front of Allah Ta'ala and does righteous deeds. So the Jews, they used to claim that the Jannah was for them, and they used to taunt the Christians. And they did not believe in Isa alayhi salam, nor did they believe in the Injil. And then the Christians, they used to believe that the Jannah was for them, and they used to taunt the religion of the Jews. And they did not believe in Musa alayhi salam, and they did not believe in the Torah as well. And they said that Jews, they are on misguidance because they do not believe in Isa alayhi salam. So in the next ayah, Allah Ta'ala deems both of these groups a liar and explains that Jannah, it is only for the pious believers who do righteous deeds. So Allah Ta'ala says, ayah number 111, وَقَالُوا لَن يَدْخُلَ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارًا. And they said that no one will enter Jannah except the Jews or the Christians. In other words, the Jews claim that no one will never enter Jannah. Remember we said the word lan is for emphasis for the future. So the Jews, they said that no one will ever enter Jannah except for the Jews. And the Christians said that no one will ever enter Jannah except for the Christians. Allah Ta'ala refutes their claims and said, تِلْكَ أَمَانِيُّهُمْ, that this is their fancies, this is their false hopes, this is their desires. So we have to understand that not only did the Christians and the Jews have hostility towards the Muslims, but they had a hostility amongst themselves as well. The Christians did not like the Jews did not like the Christians as well, as it is evident. So Allah Ta'ala says that their claims, it is only fancies and false hopes and false desires. So Allah Ta'ala challenges them and says, هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ, that say to the Christians who claim that the Jannah is for them, and say to the Jews who claim that the Jannah is for them, هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ, bring your proofs. Show me proof that the Jannah it is only for you. There is no proof. هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ, bring your proofs if you are truthful in your claim that the Jannah is only for you. And of course, we know that they were unable to bring the proof to claim and to show that the Jannah it is only for them. Now Allah Ta'ala shows who the Jannah is for. Bala, rather, the Jannah is for who? مَنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ فَلَهُ أَجْرُهُ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, that the one who submits himself to Allah Ta'ala, وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ, while he is good in his deeds, he does righteous deeds, for him his reward is with Allah Ta'ala, and he will neither have any fear nor will he grieve on the day of Qiyamah. So very important to understand here that there are two conditions in order to enter Jannah. Number one, submitting yourself before Allah Ta'ala with utmost humility, to believe in the oneness of Allah Ta'ala and to submit and humble yourself before Allah Ta'ala. Aslama wajhahu. Number one, you have to be a Muslim. A Muslim is the one who submits his will to Allah Ta'ala. Number two, وَهُوَ muhsin. You have to be good in your deeds. Just because you are a Muslim and you believe in the oneness of Allah Ta'ala and you submit your will to Allah Ta'ala, but you do not do any good deeds and you turn away from the commandments of Allah Ta'ala, then you will not have the Jannah. These two are a prerequisite and these two are connected. You cannot have one over the other. And this is evident in many ayat in the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ. Right? Allah Ta'ala doesn't say, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ, that if you believe you will have Jannah. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَانَتْ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ نُزُلًا. You must believe and you must have righteous deeds. So we find some non-Muslims, they have the best akhlaq, they are one of the best people, but they do not have Islam. This will not be enough. We have some Muslims, they believe, but they are not so good in their deeds. This will not be enough. We need both. Islam, to be a Muslim, and to be good in your deeds. This is the recipe and the formula to enter Jannah. And also this shows that whoever in their own era at the time of their Prophet and Sharia, if you followed your Prophet and you followed that Sharia at the time, and you were righteous in your deeds and you followed with all your actions, then the Jannah will be for you as well. Because every single one who adhere to their Prophet and adhere to the commandments and the laws set by their Prophet, they are known as a Muslim. Right? This is why Allah Ta'ala says that Ibrahim alayhi salam, ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was a Muslim. A Muslim means to submit your will to Allah Ta'ala, to follow the commandments of Allah Ta'ala. So in every single era of the prophets, their followers, if they follow their Prophet and they follow the commandments that was sent down to them, then they are known as a Muslim. So whoever adhere to the laws of Sharia at their given time, they are known as Muslim. But now, when the Sharia and the Quran came, every single Sharia had been abrogated from before. The Injil, the Torah, everything has been abrogated, and now the true Muslim is the one who follows the Sharia and the commandments of the Quran and of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And what is their reward? Their reward will be with Allah Ta'ala, and they will have no fear and no grief on the day of Qiyamah. The next ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ لَيْسَتِ النَّصَارَى عَلَى شَيْءٍ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى لَيْسَتِ الْيَهُودُ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. That the Jews, they used to say that the Christians have no basis with regards to their religion, that their religion is falsehood. وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى لَيْسَتِ الْيَهُودُ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. And the Christians would say that the Jews, their religion has no basis, and their religion is falsehood and batil as well. And the reason why this ayah was revealed, it was narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, when the people of Najran, who were Christians, one time they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Najran is a city in Saudi Arabia, which is bordering Yemen, and at the time, the Christians, they used to live there. This is where their roots was Ahli Najran, the people of Najran. So one day they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also the scholars of the Yahud and the Bani Israel, they came as well. And now they were both arguing in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you had the Christians of Najran, and you had the scholars of the Jews, and they both came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were quarreling and they were arguing with one another. One Jew by the name of Rafi' ibn Harmala, he said, "Ma antum ala shay," that, oh, you Christians, your religion is baseless. You have no basis to your religion, and you are on falsehood. And they disbelieved in Isa, and they disbelieved in the Injil as well. And then one man from Ahli Najran, the Christian, he came and he said, "Ma antum ala shay," that, oh, you Jews, you have no basis. Your religion is falsehood. And then they said, we disbelieve in Musa and we disbelieve in the Torah as well. So then Allah Ta'ala revealed this verse that the Jews said the Christians are on falsehood, and the Christians said that the Jews are on falsehood. وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ. While they all read the kitab, they all have their books which are confirming each other. That each of their books shows what is the truth and what is supposed to be done by you, and to be a Muslim and to adhere to your Prophet and your books. Allah Ta'ala said afterwards, كَذَلِكَ قَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ مِثْلَ قَوْلِهِمْ. Similarly, those who have no knowledge, they said the same thing, like the Jews and the Nasara. What did the Jews and the Nasara said? They would taunt each other, and they said, you guys have no basis and your religion is falsehood. Similarly, those who had no ilm said the same thing. And who is this referring to? This is referring to the mushrikun of the Arabs. And they said to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, "Laysa Muhammadun ala shay," that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's religion is baseless. So the Jews would say the Christian religion is baseless and false. The Christian would say the Jews' religion is baseless and false. The mushrikun and the mushriks of the Arabs and the pagans of Arabs, they would say that the religion of Muhammad is baseless and is falsehood. So this is what it means by when Allah Ta'ala says that those who have no knowledge said the same thing, like the Yahud and the Christians, talking about the mushrikun of the Arab who claimed that the religion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is baseless. Then Allah Ta'ala says, فَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ بَيْنَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, that Allah Ta'ala will judge and rule between you on the day of Qiyamah, فِيمَا كَانُوا فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ, in that which you used to argue about, and in that which you used to differ about. In other words, you are claiming the Jews are wrong, the Jews are claiming the Christians are wrong, the mushriks are claiming that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is wrong. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala will judge between you, and He will bring out the truth. And this is also a warning to the Muslims that just believing in Allah Ta'ala is not enough. Rather, you have to follow it up with good deeds as well, and righteous deeds as well. So may Allah Ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to act upon what has been said. The next ayah will speak about those people who prevent people and prevent the people from worshipping Allah Ta'ala, which we will keep for next time. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاكم الله